Welcome to another episode of the Nailsin Ratings. You know, how about that Star Wars, huh? Yeah, boy. Well, you know, it all began with The Force Awakens for the Disney version of Star Wars, and Force Awakens set up all kinds of possibilities, and then The Last Jedi just threw those in the trash. Yeah, well, it did follow through on one thing, where Han Solo informed how Luke was pretty much done with the galaxy. He was all upset and depressed and ran away from it all. And so that was the only real clue we had to his disappearance. And then the rest of the movie, of course, is about finding him through putting together this map. Yeah. So they find it, of course. In case you haven't seen it, spoilers, yeah. And young Rey manages to find Luke on his island, which we learn is the site of the first, or I guess, or one of the first Jedi temples. So there's Luke at the Jedi temple, and she's got his lightsaber, and oh boy, what's going to happen next? Not much. It's just, but that subverts your expectations. You thought something was going to happen, but it didn't. And see, you're just not clever enough. But anyway, so the map. When in Last Jedi, we learned that yes, Luke is depressed and a broken man, and he's pretty much lost his faith in the Jedi and all that sort of thing. He's cut himself off from the Force, and he's grumpy and just pretty much given up on everything. And he wanted to get away from it all. Yet a man who lost his faith goes to the temple of said faith. And there's the ancient texts of Jedi teachings there and all that sort of stuff. Why would he do that when he's really just depressed and no longer believes in anything and feels he's a failure and all that sort of thing? Yeah. And plus, he wants to get away from it all, but he leaves a map behind in case anyone would want to find him. Yeah. Well, that's kind of stupid if you want to get away from it all and you have no intention of ever returning. Yeah. You see, a better idea would be that Luke was seeking out the ancient Jedi temple to explore every possible avenue of knowledge of the Force that he may not already know in order to try to help him deal with what's happened here with Ben Solo becoming Kylo Ren, and just what is the depth and extent of the threat here besides just being a cheap ripoff of the Empire and redo and all that. Yeah, that was a mistake too. But you needed to pump up what the overall threat was, and if you want to explore new avenues of the Force, you could have, but you really didn't. And so here would be Luke seeking out this knowledge because he just didn't have the ability to prevent what happened, and he needs to understand what it is, and has this ever happened before, and blah, 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 blah. All this stuff, and with the mystery of Snoke and everything. Yeah, it's still a mystery, and it's just going to stay that way because that's another setup that... Yeah. So, Luke, there he is, and the map leaves it a trail. Now, if he's hiding from the threat of Snoke and Kylo, because he needs to, while he tries to figure out what the solution is by studying the ancient texts of the Force and by the Jedi, it would be very foolish of leaving a map behind. However, the explanation for both scenarios could simply be that Luke couldn't find this ancient temple. It was lost, and you can imagine after Order 66, Palpatine pretty much purged as much of the Jedi as he could, and so a lot of things are just lost forever, and it would have been pretty hard for someone to try to reconstitute all that, which would have been Luke's job after Return of the Jedi. Until his nephew destroys it all. But so Luke seeks out this temple, and so he has to find the map, and he does. And but he hides it with R2, to cover his tracks because it could be dangerous. That's the only conceivable way this works out. That's Luke's map. He never really intended for anyone else to read it, but he had to find it. in order to figure out where this place was and then go there, which he did. Of course, this doesn't work at all with the idea that he's just depressed and he wants to get away from it all. Because, again, why would he seek out the temple when he's lost his faith? Unless, of course, there was still a desire to restore it, and he hoped that studying this would restore him. And again, that pretty much corresponds with the scenario that he's looking for a solution to this terrible thing that has happened with Ben Solo. So, I guess. You see, I'm only guessing, because you have to with these new Star Wars movies. I mean, it's always fun to guess what's what, and Force Awakens did set that up, and it's the first movie in this new trilogy, so it all makes sense that it would do that. Yeah. Now you're down to one last movie that's supposed to somehow wrap this up. But, hey, there's comic books and novels. It should be on the screen. So, anyway, yeah, so the map to find Luke could have been a map that Luke himself found, and that's why there's record left. That's the only explanation I can come up with here for that. It's too bad the movies didn't really do that, but you're left with a lot of kind of theories, headcanon they call it, which isn't canon, because anybody can do that. You can make up anything you want, and it could be just as true. So that's not really what... Last Jedi's a failure. It just is. And another example of it. But at least it kept with the description that Luke was, depressed, I guess. Yeah. Should have just stopped there instead of all the other stuff and depicting him as some kind of coward. And that he would murder his nephew. Just over a bad vision after everything he did for Darth Vader, a man who was his father, yes, but he didn't really know him. Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? All right, thanks for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. Share with your friends. You'll become the talk of the town. Well, maybe not yet, but anyway. And also check the descriptions below. Link description, I should say, that will lead you to all my mini stores that has plenty of lovely gifts and goodies just for you.